Let's talk about Rickie Collins briefly. Rickie Collins making his first career start in college. Not even just for Syracuse, just in general. His third year in college. First start. How did it go? Not well. Rickie Collins did not perform well for Syracuse in this game. But here's the worst part about it, ladies and gentlemen. You can't just put this game on Rickie Collins. The worst part about this game is that the entire team, players, coaches, you want to loop myself as a podcaster, that's fine, I'll take it as well, did not show up. They did not perform in this game one bit. So we're going to go over all the mistakes and all the miscues that Rickie Collins had in this one. But let's just not forget that the entire team, players and coaches, was equally, if not worse, than him throughout the entirety of this game. The only couple of players that seemed to perform, Antoine Delorier made a couple of nice tackles. He's the true freshman linebacker. He looks like a stud. Even then, he wasn't perfect to begin this game. So really, it was Trip Woody, the kicker, who was called upon to make one field goal from 29 yards, and he made it. And the punter, Jack Stonehouse, was pretty good too. Everyone else, not very good. And let's just get this part out of the way, okay? In the lead up to this game, there was a lot of talk about Fran Brown from the national media, how he could be the hottest new coach in the next coaching cycle. And we've even brought that up here on Locked On Syracuse. Well, I got news for you all, ladies and gentlemen. I don't think many colleges are going to be calling Fran Brown after this game. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Fran Brown is now a bad coach, that Fran Brown doesn't have Syracuse in the right direction. I still believe those things to be true. But let's calm down a little bit right now about Syracuse, okay? Let's just calm down a little bit and let's see how the rest of this season unfolds. Because this performance was the worst performance in the Fran Brown era. I stopped taking notes at 31-3 Duke, and we could have just started the podcast right then and there. Honestly, we could have just done that. Let's talk about the turning point of this game. What went wrong for Syracuse? Jackson, what happened? You may have missed the game. What was it that happened? Well, it's the second quarter. Syracuse is only down 10-3. All right, so you're within a touchdown. You're fine. They have the ball. They're moving a little bit, but they get backed up. Second down and 20 at their own 40-ish yard line. I believe they're at their own 42 to be exact. Rickie Collins in the shotgun delivers a strike to Jonte Cook. Ball's a little bit high, so Jonte Cook has to leap up and make a catch, but it's near the first down, and as he's sort of turning upfield and coming down to the ground, he fumbles the football. This fumble was not on Jonte Cook. Don't worry, he had another one later on in the game, which was completely his fault, but this one I will excuse for Jonte Cook. Because let's be honest, it was targeting. The officials called targeting on the field. He was defenseless near the ground. A defender comes in, bops him in the head. You can't do that. But the officials, on review, take away the targeting. The fumble upholds. And so now, instead of it being 1st and 10 Syracuse, or at least a 3rd and 1 or 3rd and 2 in Duke territory, now Duke has the football. So you could say right then and there, the officials, they screwed Syracuse big time on that one. They screwed them over. And you know what? On that particular play, they didn't get it right. They didn't get it right at all, even on review. That was targeting. The play should not have been a fumble. Shouldn't have been a fumble. But you know what, folks? Sometimes in football games, in fact, in pretty much every football game, even in games where you dominate, things are going to go wrong. Things aren't going to go your way. And that includes things out of your control, like officials making bad calls. It's going to happen. An official is going to call a holding when it's not holding. Officials are going to call pass interference when it's not pass interference, or they're not going to call pass interference when it is pass interference, or they're going to call targeting, reverse it. They're going to make bad calls. It's going to happen. What cannot happen is the response by Syracuse, because it seemed like after that play where that Jonte Cook fumble happened, this team completely collapsed. It's on the players for not being mentally tough enough to recover from that. And it's also on the coaching staff for not being able to snap them out of it. Understand that bad calls will happen. What cannot happen is right after that play was overturned, Duke gets the football back. They score a touchdown in 3 plays, and now they trail 17-3. Not the official's fault that you went down 17-3 if you're Syracuse football. It's not their fault. So I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I know you probably want me to come on here and blame the officials and say that the ACC has a bias against Syracuse, which they might if we're being honest, considering they fined them last week for the quote-unquote fake injuries, whatever. But at the end of the day, you don't have to let Duke score in 3 plays right after a bad break and they go up 17-3. And you know what's also terrible about this game is that Syracuse completely let Manny Diaz, the head coach of Duke, off the hook in the first half. I thought his game management in the first half, who cares about the second half? It was already a blowout anyway. In the first half, when this game was actually a game, I don't know what Manny Diaz was really thinking. I don't know what he was thinking. I didn't see, oh, what a brilliant head coach he is. I saw a team that was just bailing out his own incompetence, and I saw Syracuse letting him off the hook. Let's start with this. What's an example, Jackson? Walk me through it. 4th and 2 Duke, midway through the second quarter. They're at around their own 30 to 40-yard line, in that range. 4th and 2, up 17-3. You punt the football 100 times out of 100. But Manny Diaz decides, oh, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to run right up the middle at Syracuse. That's a terrible decision. Duke's up 17-3. They don't need to be aggressive and go for it well in their own territory and potentially risk giving the ball to Syracuse in great field position. I don't know what he's doing there. And Duke was getting the ball to start the second half. No reason to go for it there. But hey, Syracuse letting him off the hook. You know, the defense is allowed to make a big play, and they don't make the big play. Stupid decision. But Duke gets it, and then they score a touchdown on that drive. Shout out to Davian Kerr, who had just a splendid performance by slipping on the touchdown. I believe it was to Cooper Barcade. I mean, he was terrible on defense. He was terrible on special teams, but it's okay because everyone else is pretty terrible too. So it's not just Davian Kerr. I'm not just picking on him. Example number 2 with Manny Diaz was the end of the first half management. Kicking a field goal with 6 seconds left in the half from 45 yards when the team has a timeout. Could have used the timeout 10 seconds earlier after Duke had gotten a first down. Just incompetent clock management, and Duke could have been leading by even more than just 24-3 at the end of the first half. It could have been 27-3 with a much more manageable field goal than 45 yards. It could have maybe been 31-3 had they played the clock correctly. But instead, it was 24-3. So maybe that's a minor break for Syracuse football. How did they respond in the second half? I'm glad you asked. Syracuse's defense, they get a stop. Then Jonte Cook fumbles, an inexcusable fumble we'll talk about in the next segment. Syracuse's defense, they step up, they get another stop. And then Davian Kerr on the punt decides to catch the ball inside the 5-yard line. I don't know what he is thinking there. I mean, remember how great the special teams was in the first few games of the year? It wasn't very good today. I don't know what that decision was. Syracuse punts. Duke gets the ball back. They score a touchdown. 31-3. The game's over.